Hey guys, it's Kelly. Hey, I made a card. I'm in a card making mood, so I thought I would share it with you. And it says, "How have you been?" with a bunch of beans across the thing. I've been in the coloring mood lately too, and I'm not your usual colorer because I don't have Copic markers and things like that. I've got a lot of pencils. Not big on the colored pencils unless they're Inktense pencils. But I was really feeling my gelatos. I wanted to play with them. I finally splurged and bought a couple sets of the gelatos, and I'm loving them. So I wanted to try to do some coloring of this little cup and see how they work. So, and those of you that know gelatos, I mean, when you first lay them down, they can be a little chunky, but if you add water, it's just like watercolor. It's just a watercolor pigment basically. And I like it. I like the variety because I have a lot of different varieties there. So I just chose some browns and grays and some blues and pinks and yellow. Well, no yellows, pinks and oranges. I wasn't sure where I was going to go, but I just brought out a few colors. And I left a lot of the coloring here and I sped it up because some people say, no, I really want to see how you color it. And some people are like, yeah, no. And you can fast forward through it, I guess, if you prefer. But some people are like, I don't know how I would color with gelatos, and it's serious. It's so simple. Like, don't overcomplicate it. When I'm doing it, it almost feels childlike, like I'm making a mess. And but you're mixing colors, and I've got like iced coffee. I've got chocolate. I've got even like black licorice. I've got all kinds of different colors out there, and I make my own brown that's gonna be the brown that I like. And then I wind up mixing colors together to also make the shadows on the cup. So, and it takes some time, but it's therapeutic for me personally. And I'm not the best at coloring, but with the right brush and the right colors, I think you can have a good time with it. But yeah, so I'm just making some brown, and you can see the different colors I have there. So I'm not just using one gelato color. I'm mixing quite a few together. So, and if I remember right, it's iced coffee, um, iced chai, something like that, and then chocolate. And then some orangish red color. I don't remember the name of the color, but because they got some cool colors on there. So when I do the voiceover, I'm usually not in the craft room, so I'm just gonna talk through it. So I don't remember the colors, but orangish red with some browns, and then a little bit of the black licorice. I remember that one, but yeah, I was feeling that coffee cup, and it's an old set. It's a stamp from a Fisker set, and I just stamped it on. It's not watercolor paper. It is a 110 pound Nina Classic White, and it's just enough to take a little bit of water. So I knew that I wasn't going to full blown watercolor, but I knew that I was going to do watercolor like coloring. There'd be a little bit of water. So had I used a 90 pound paper, it would be buckling on me. But this paper held up really good. So, and I finally bought the big reams of the Nina paper stock, cardstock, and I'm really pleased with it. I got it from Amazon, so it's pretty affordable. So, and I just randomly colored the little circles in there, just whatever color I felt. There was no, set plan. I just put the colors out and said, these are the ones I just decided. These are the ones I'm going to work with. I'll tell you what's helpful for me, when you have too many supplies or too many colors, too many options of one thing, from the start, narrow them down. Because otherwise you're going to sit there and you're going to get lost in, well, this color might be better. Well, maybe I should try that one. Or maybe I should try this one. What about that brush? No. I have learned, at least this is what works for me. I have learned to make those decisions from the start and let it happen with what you've already decided to use. Um, you know what you want to do at this point, but I don't know. That's just what works for me. Otherwise, I get lost. Like if I have all these papers out and all these inks out and all these embellishments out and things like that, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. But this card, I actually sketched out a plan. So, and it was a it's a simple card, so simple. But I sketched out the plan of this is the stamp set I'm going to use. This is the way I'm going to colorize it. These are the brushes that I'm going to use. And this is the size of card I'm going to make. So, and I didn't really deviate from it at all. The only thing that I wound up deviating from is I spilled the coffee beans across the card, and I really liked that effect. I thought that was kind of cute. But yeah, I just kept it really, really simple. Because I've been making a lot of simple cards because I'm meaning on sending them out to people. Just real simple, hey, how's it going? Miss ya kind of stuff. Because I got a lot of people I care about that I haven't been able to see for a long time. And when I colored that cup, I was like, it kind of looks like a clown cup, doesn't it? It reminds me of Bozo. I know I'm dating myself. Bozo is really old. But it reminds me of the clown Bozo because all those different colors. I probably could have done without that, but I didn't care. I just went with it. So that one has a little bit of a shimmer. And that one I think is iced coffee or I don't remember. Iced mocha or something. And the shimmer was kind of cool, but wasn't my favorite. So, and some of the time I took my brush and I dipped it in water and mixed it that way. And other times I would spray it. If there were kind of big chunks of the gelato, I would spray it and kind of move it around a little bit. I actually like having the chunks on my work surface because there's time where I want more pigment, and you can really kind of take your brush and dig into the little chunks of the color and get some shadows and just get a darker shade and have a tone on tone look. I kind of like that. And the freedom with it too. And I don't have a palette. I mean, my glass mat is my palette, and I just use the white area so I can see the true color. But yeah, I decided to use a lighter shade of tan, lighter shade of brown for the little koozie cover thing. And I like to kind of play with the shadows. I feel like the more I practice with that, the better I get at it. It takes time, and you got to first decide where you want your light source to be coming from. And sometimes I mess that up and I'm like, oh yeah, I started on the right of the page and then I ended up with reflection marks on the left. So I try to remember, but again, I'm not a professional artist. I'm just a mom in my craft room doing videos for the heck of it. But yeah. And then I decided to do the lid too. And the lid's kind of like a gray color. It's kind of hard to see in the video right there, but it's kind of I wanted it to be a little bit off-white, but I went with kind of a gray color. I'm just filling it in. And again, you guys can fast forward through it, but coloring with your gelatos is pretty good. And you'll see me with that little rag that I have. It's a microfiber towel. I love those. They work great in my craft room for me. But when I had a little too much water on my brush, I just sop it up. And a little bit of the pigment still stays, but it's definitely better for control. So at this part, I was using the white gelato and thought maybe I can add some highlights in there. And that didn't go over very well. I think I probably should have let it dry a little bit better and I might have got a better result. But I needed it to be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more vibrant with the white. So I'll come back to that with my white Signo gel pen. And then that gelato is a black licorice, and I just put some water on my brush and then just tried to fill in the little sippy hole at the top of the cup. It's really, really subtle. It's hard to see, but I wanted it to be a little bit darker. And then I dried it because, again, the paper is 110-pound paper, so it's not watercolor paper. So it's limited on what it can do with the water, but it held up really well. I was really impressed. And then for this one, I don't have dies for this Fiskars stamp set. It's like La Violata or something. It's all coffee based. A really, really old stamp. I've had it forever. Got it from Michael's or Joann's. I can't remember, but it's been a long time. But there's no die cuts with it. So when I cut it out, I decided to leave the little white border because I thought it was more whimsical because the whole card is a little whimsical-y, if that's a word. But I just decided to fussy cut it and make it look like it was die cut. It's really not hard. It literally takes just like 2 minutes, if even that. And it still wound up looking good. So I liked that. I usually don't like the white border, but for this, when it's more of a whimsical look, I really like it. And my card base is basically, I did a video a little while ago where I was playing with my jelly plate, and I just kind of showed the results. If you're interested in seeing how I made some of these, just let me know. I mean, they're random, and I can't recreate what I got here. But I just used ink, the Distress Oxide inks on my jelly plate and pulled a bunch of prints. And I'm really using those for cards. I'm really loving having a really nice stash of just prints that I pulled. And there's all kinds of different things you could do with the jelly plate to have those prints available. But it makes slapping together some cards and just doing a really quick project for when you're kind of tight on time makes it really easy. So I already had all the stamps arranged on my stamping tool, and I knew again this was one that I sketched out, really simple one. And so I knew I was going to stamp everything. So I just stamped it, and then I'll cover the stamp with the coffee cup, and I know exactly where to put it. So my sentiment wound up being a little crooked. No big deal. I fixed that in a little bit. You just cover it up. It's no big deal. But yeah, I like that background. I hope you guys do too. It's got some nice, really soft, kind of calm kind of colors. Really liked it. And then here I'm looking for a color to, I want the steam to be visible. So I want it colored in a little bit. It can still be translucent if you choose the right color, so I could still see the background, and that's how steam is, right? But I used a really light gray, and it's really, really subtle. You can't see it until you look at the stills, but it's there. And again, this is all just, for me, is therapeutic to create these cards. It really is. It's calming, it's relaxing. At the end, I've created something pretty. There's just something about it that just makes everything right in the world sometimes. Now, this is going to be a gift for somebody, but I don't sit there and stress out, oh, gee, I hope they really like it, because if you don't like getting a handmade card in the mail, then I don't want to know you. Seriously. If you don't enjoy that, or you don't see that there's value in that, just the appreciation, I don't know. Something about handmade things. And then those Sizzix sticky pads, they are amazing. You guys have got to get some of those. They are so convenient to have, and you can reuse them over and over and over again. That same one has been in my stamp pad, my stamp platform forever, and it's still really sticky. So, and Tim Holtz, God love him. His stuff it's pricey, but it's because it's good. It's good stuff. But yeah, the Sizzix stick it thing is really, really awesome. I love it. So here I'm just using the gray, and I think I might add a little of the black in there too. I was just putting a shadow around the cup because it's kind of floating in the middle of the page. I didn't want to draw on a table or anything like that, or decide. It's just going to be, if I add a shadow, it kind of grounds it to the middle of the page so it doesn't look like it's just randomly floating around. Now, it is randomly floating around, but at least if you put a shadow there, it grounds it. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I decided to use some phone tape. I've been making so many cards, I'm running out of phone tape here pretty quick. I'm going to have to buy some. But I can't get one of those massive rolls that I see everybody else. I mean, the roll's so massive, it's comical how big it is. But I usually don't make that many cards, so I think a small roll would be enough. And I've heard that in the mail, the foam tape doesn't hold up very well. Now, I don't send a bunch of cards, so I really don't have that experience to pull from. But let me know in the comments if you've had that, if you make cards and you mail them, and if you hear that they fall apart in the mail. Because I've heard that a couple times. But so to fix my crooked sentiment, I just restamped it on white paper. I used Vintage Photo Oxide ink and just hit that white sheet with it, the little white sentiment piece, and just put it on some brown paper. And then this is where I thought, oh, this would be really cute if I would get the little coffee beans. And I mean, they're just in a line, and that's fine, but I didn't like, it was too, I don't know, I didn't like how that looked in just a line, putting it on the card. Again, it just looked like it was just floating around. So I actually wound up stamping it on the same brown paper that I used to mat the sentiment, and I fussy cut each one of them out. Yes, I know, crazy, but that's what I wanted. I wanted the beans just kind of floating around. And I could have stamped more, but fussy cutting those little tiny beans, it was therapeutic, but it did take some time. So, and I spared you that. So I just stamped it and then I cut them all out. And I cut them all out after I put the white reflection mark on them. So sometimes, the coffee beans, if they're really good coffee beans, they've got the shine from the oil. Oh, God. I love coffee. I'm a sucker for coffee. But yeah, so I thought I cut this part out. I try to cut out the part where I start putting my stuff back where it goes, but sometimes I miss some. So put my platform away and get all my beans together. And there it is. So I just have them falling down from the part that says, how have you been? So I wanted one bean right next to the word bean. And then I'm using this tool that I got in my kit. I think it was my Sizzix kit. Yeah, I think it was. But it's a little, I forget what they're called, but it's got a little sticky thing on it, and it helps with getting those little pieces down. So it definitely helps with gems and small things like that. I'm obviously not using it very well because all I need to do is put the glue on the paper and not on the little piece. I figure it out eventually. So yeah. So I'm struggling at first, just trying to pick up the piece, and then it gets stuck to the glue thing. Hello, what did I think would happen? But I figured it out pretty quick. I was 4 beans in, and then I said, wait a minute. Oh, wait, I guess it took 5 beans before I realized, oh, just look on the paper. Wherever the bean was, just put the glue on the paper. All right, I guess I didn't catch on as quickly as I thought. So, yeah, it took a while to figure it out. And I wanted to be random, but then I wound up being this pattern that I didn't like. There it goes. Now I finally figured out what would be faster. So it's the first time I'm using that. So I like that tool. It's great when you use it right, but I was getting frustrated with it. I'm like, well, this doesn't work. And it does work. It works fine if you just use it the way it's supposed to be used. So there it is. And you can barely see the in the video. It's really hard to see the shadow around the cup, but it's there. And then after that, I realized that the beans kind of needed to, again, they're just floating there, which is part of the design, but I needed them to have a shadow. So I'm just getting my card base, and I just eyeballed this sheet of paper. I just kind of, held it on the paper and then marked it with a pencil and just cut it. I didn't measure it, but it's usually 4.5 by 5. It's the standard card size. But when I was looking at the page, I was like, no, I kind of really need to frame it in. So I went around the outside of the panel twice with Vintage Photo with the oxide ink. And it really does kind of help your eye go to the center. I'm a fan of doing that on almost all of my projects. It frames it in nicely, I think. And I think if I done black, which I could have done that, I think it'd be a little bit too overpowering. So the Vintage Photo just twice around was, I thought, a good balance. And then I got to clean it up because once I put it on the card, you don't want to get the ink rubbed all over your card. So I always keep that in there to remind the newbies that make cards, if you're going to play with ink, make sure you clean up before you start putting your card base down. It's just something you might not think about, right? I mean, I've done it. I didn't think about it, and I had to get another card base. So there it is, and I wind up just putting it down with my ATG gun. It's an oldie but a goodie. I love that adhesive that you buy. It's really good, strong adhesive. It holds for a long time. It's acid free and all that good stuff. But before I wanted to put that down, I felt like it wasn't framed in quite enough. So putting black ink on the base, I don't think was going to be good. So instead, I just used a black paint pen. I got that free from, I think it was scrapbook.com when I did an order. It was one of the times when they had the freebies. And yeah, it's a great pen. I love it. It's a paint marker actually. And you shake it up and it worked lovely, great. So I just put some black stitching around the outside. I have some dies, but they're not perfect card shaped dies. I purchased them and thought that they were card shaped, but they're not. They're just rectangles, but you can just draw it on, no big deal. And then I just found some stamps from the Simon Says card kit, the most recent card kit that I bought. I found some stamps to put on the inside, and then I thought it would be cute to just stamp those coffee beans in there as well. I cut that coffee bean stamp, put it back together to put it at the bottom like that, but I thought that would be cute to add it in there. And then I thought, oh, that's good. Now I'm done. And then here's where I was like, no, I think I want to add some shadows to the coffee beans because it looked like they were unfinished a little bit. And it is the most subtle shadowing. I mean, you probably won't. I mean, if I didn't say, oh, there's shadows on the beans, you wouldn't even notice it. They're not there now, but I do them. I don't know why the lighting keeps going so bright, but so yeah, I'm just kind of looking at it going, they look like they're, I don't know, they're lacking. So I got some gray because I didn't want it to be too overpowering. I just wanted a nice little shadow to match the shadow that's underneath the coffee cup. And I just grabbed my brush and some water and just really, really roughly. There's no like perfect way of doing this when you're adding little shadows around small elements like that. Now that I'm looking at it, I probably should have put a shadow around the sentiment box, but I didn't. I might go back and do it. I'll just be honest. I might go back and do it. But this is where I gotta remember, and this is something I gotta work on. Where the light source is, to put the reflection mark. So when I was putting the beans down, I put the white mark, at the light heading, pointing towards the light source. So when you have the shadow, it needs to be on the other side of the bean. So I'm progress for me, like seriously, it's a simple idea. I do get it. I understand. But this is progress for me. Take it or leave it. So, and I just kind of went around the left side of every bean, because that's the dark side, and added a little bit. Again, it's so subtle, you can hardly even see it, but I know it's there. And again, the shadowing stuff is something that I'm finding that I really need to practice on. So coloring and adding the right kind of shadows is something that I'm going to continue to do and practice and watch videos on those who are really good at it, that don't use Copic markers, because I don't have those. But you don't need those to color things. But so there it is. There it is. I hope you guys liked it and it wasn't too boring. It's about 24 minutes. There's some fun stuff in there. Hopefully you can get some use out of it. But don't forget to give me a like on there. Love reading your comments. I read them all. They make my day. And I try to reply to all of them too. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, like, comment, and share. And I will have more to come here soon. Thanks, guys.